we started design in 2010. When we started the project, Hoban House was on the site. I mean, it was actually, it was like, we're going to put a building where this beautiful house is, so there was a lot of discussion prior to engaging Studio Gang about whether to reuse that existing brick building, and determined that it really wouldn't meet the goals of what John Stryker and the Arcus Foundation and an Arcus Center had for the building, which is to really create a building where people across the community and the United States and the world could convene to promote social justice. And it needed to be a very singular building, and one that would set a precedent for support of social justice, which is so important to Kalamazoo. If you want to speak about that a little bit.
Yes, and one of the things that I think is really exciting about the design of the building is that if you look at it, it really looks like a crossroads. And that was a concept that came up over and over again, that we really wanted to create the sense of the whole world coming together in this crossroads at Kalamazoo College to think big thoughts, tackle big problems, and solve them in a way that gave honor to everybody in the process.
There's something about this project, too, that was it was very revealing to all of us, because at Studio Gang and on the design team, because the question was asked, what does a space for social justice look like? How do you design a space where social justice activities happen, or where social justice is achieved? And that was your question. Mm-hmm. And it was, and it took us down this path of research and understanding that led us to really understand the issues that the Arcus Center is working towards, and also led us to research how people in the past and in different cultures have addressed one another in very egalitarian or face-to-face ways. And some of that research led to the architecture, which is really exciting for us. So, and there are a lot of examples around the world. There's an African called a Taguna, which is a kind of traditional meeting place where everybody would come together to make decisions for the community. And a few others, like an Indian stepwell, where people from across different communities would gather in the desert of India, or a Quaker meeting house. So there were some of those things that led us to realize that sitting around a fire and centering conversations on food are part of the history of people meeting and understanding each other.
Everybody looking face to face.
Looking face to face, sitting in a very kind of friendly way, and you'll see some of those things reflected in the building. A fireplace with hearth seating that lets people gather at kind of a very equal level.
Mm-hmm. It was my third week on the job, and I'm sitting with this group of architects. I mean, who in social justice work ever thinks they're going to be in on building a building, first of all? I mean, most social justice work happens in moldy basements, and we're working on fumes, So I'm sitting with this amazing group, and they're like, well, what books should we be reading? And they weren't asking me about architectural books. They were asking me about books by foundational social justice thinkers and activists. And so I just thought, really? Somebody's asking me this question? I've been waiting my whole life for somebody to ask me a question like this. And that really started that iterative process of going back and forth with the different kinds of expertise that came to the table to build this crossroads.
And we not only looked at social justice books, but we also really delved into the history of Kalamazoo College, how it came to be, why it is where it is, who the past presidents were, the initiative for social justice and community-centered work as a part of the curriculum to begin with. How did all of that develop? And we had to program the building. How many classrooms would there be? How many offices, seminar spaces? How would people talk? How would they meet and all be facing each other whenever they met, not necessarily in the typical sort of lecture style where you're looking at the back of someone's head? So all of that went into this very in-depth beginning period. One of the other things we did during this phase was also research construction methods and materials you would find in Michigan. And we hit upon the model that is mock-up that's behind Jamie, which is cordwood masonry. And it's often a rustic method for building barns, and you see it here, you see it in the UP, you see it up into Canada north of here, and it's made from usually cedar, harvested locally. And we thought that this was a very important way to introduce sustainable measures to the project, because we're using cedar, which is a sustainably harvested wood, lone locally. I think this came from less than 200 miles away. But it also is, each log is very individual, like the individuals that the building will support and bring to the center. And it is also a community's built project. So if we wanted to get everybody in the community involved in building it, everybody could lay a log, have a piece in building this very, very important precedent for the campus.
The third wing of this is really about Kalamazoo, metaphorically and kind of physically, aims towards the neighborhood adjacent to the site and indicates that there are these sort of three constituencies to the building. There's the college and its social justice work, the nature and ecological friendliness, sustainability, and the whole community of Kalamazoo and the neighborhood and the larger environs in Kalamazoo. So right in there.
And then the Arcus, I think you mentioned, are embracing each of these communities. And then this is what we, in Studio Gang, call the stramp, where we've made up this word. It's the stair ramp, which connects it literally and back to the campus, so that accessibility and how you get into the building, and accessibility in its broader sense, and permitting everybody to be free to go everywhere, was very important to this project. And so this stramp and the other means of coming up Academy to get in the other front door were two ways, so it doesn't feel like you're walking up a ramp. You're not taking a separate path. You're not going up a back door to come into this building that is for everyone and for support of all people and all ideas.
And Jamie and the group here that we worked with led us there. We, traditionally in a two-story building, and this was, it's not 2 stories, but it has several levels because of the hill. We had an elevator at one time. We had a separate ramp, and what we were guided towards is the path. The accessible path is the path. Everybody shares, and this is not about. It's another way of kind of leveling the way that we interact with space, which really led to some great design things happening where. There are spaces in here that are slightly tiered that everyone can access without an elevator that we can use to, sit on, have small meetings, have big group meetings. Somebody could talk at the foot of this thing and people sit around and listen, and it really kind of drove the design in a big way.
Yes. In terms of uses, one of the things we thought about in social justice work is that things change so rapidly. Your needs change. Your challenges in the moment change all the time. Or a single event room with hundreds of chairs that come out from these little curved walls that hide lots of things. And then the chairs would all come out, and suddenly everyone in the building is working together, seeing one lecture together. The staff offices are over here, and the whole building is wired as well so that we all can be listening to what's going on in different places. If we have a lecture going on while people are doing other things here.
The building, sort of more of a pragmatic aspect, and one of the aspirations for the college is that this be a LEED certified building and very sustainable. So it has geothermal loops providing the heating and cooled water with which we heat the building. It has a white roof to reflect any sunlight, so it doesn't have a lot of heat gain. It sits amidst trees, so it's a xeriscape on the landscaping around it. So indigenous and local plantings, there are no watering systems in the plants, so that they're very self-sustaining once they are rooted and doing well. I'm trying to think of the other thing.
We also, within that, within the idea of, it's kind of replacing or replicating what was here a long time ago in an oak savanna, like putting in plants and trees that are really happy in this environment and don't need a lot of maintenance or extra water. And then in addition, we are storing all of the stormwater. So any stormwater that falls on the building or on the site, none of it is connected to the storm system, trying to take some of that kind of infrastructure load away from the way that we process water. And this is something on many of our projects, and on projects in the future, people are thinking about this more, not having so much energy spent in processing water and also replenishing the aquifer, and that's the thing. Another thing about the building that we tried very hard to do within this layout, it was a little bit synergistic and lucky, but also was tuned once we realized it, is that the roof, it's not shown here, but it's got overhangs over each of these clerestories, so they're self-shading. The ends are fairly self-shading, and especially in hot months, so you don't get solar gain from the sun in the summer that causes more of a cooling load. And in the winter, as the sun's lower, it'll come into the building and help heat the building. So, and those are practices that also come from, older examples of the way people used to build buildings and orient them to the sun and make them work for them in terms of heating and cooling. So this building's trying to incorporate a lot of that too.
General geometry of the structure. Could you tell us a little bit about
Yeah, we love talking about this.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry.
Our triaxial plan.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the drivers of the design. Obviously, is the geometry, and There are several influences of it. One is really just studying the site itself and understanding the flow of people to this site in terms of the college campus first. And that was, thinking about Academy Street as a thoroughfare of a sort, with a really active place down at Red Square and the Art Museum in this building. And then, knowing people were coming up here, and then also this topography that, of the Grove leading down and the quad leading up with a couple of paths that way, you can start to sense that movement. And so that was a thing that started us down a path of studying a lot of different options, and as just understanding the site forces. And then there were other things that came together, through interaction with Jamie and colleagues that had to do with, we heard things like, we don't like corners and we don't like heads of tables, and there are things that we learned about dealing with one another on a very equal level that led to being kind of encouraged by that softness. And then there are these three constituencies that occurred to us over the course of the project that social justice in this building and on campus are regarding, in a sense. And therefore, that's what led to these three ends starting. And their transparency toward the campus into the building and toward this natural grove area, and then also towards the community and the neighborhood to think about those constituencies. And these curved walls, and I think I forgot to mention this before, but we really enjoyed, when you're going toward a wall, is it a barrier? That was one of the, as a metaphor, but this is more of like an embrace. The idea was that as you enter in, it's welcoming you or pulling you toward it, and passing through that wall is like passing through a threshold into a place where, the hope is, or the metaphor is, that stereotypes are left behind, or the perception of you is left behind that threshold. And it becomes this crossroads of people that, entering into this central space that becomes the heart of the project with a fireplace and a seating area.
It's always struck me, I've just walked past as this has been going up as a starkly different aesthetic from the traditional academic buildings, which proclaim a sort of a bastion of the few. This is the gently flowing openness to everything in all directions is a stark difference from the surrounding buildings. I think it's beautifully done in that way. Thank you.
About plans for the College Grove, for the wooded area?
Which is kind of exciting. And one of the things that we did as we talked was about how sort of underutilized the Grove is, and that if you sort of supported, rehabilitation of the Grove and access to it, that students could actually, gather in it more, and it could be sort of an extension of the building in terms of the many conversations that are going to go on, and also people in the community. It could be an easier walk through that would be more accessible to people in the neighborhood.
Working with our landscape architect, I won't say we, but they identified invasive species that are starting to choke off different plants that would normally have grown there, and which trees were kind of good trees and which weren't. And there's, outside of our project, of this project, there's work already going on the campus with student volunteers and workers to start to remove those invasives. And part of the forward-thinking plan that the college has is to open up a little of that ground cover, make sure there aren't any itchy plants left, and have some log seats. We did some really conceptual layouts of could you have an outdoor dining thing here? Could you have a little tiered thing where people could listen to a lecture, or there's a place for a barbecue? Things that are more community based. That would be future projects, hopefully, that would make it. But the overall plan, and we should have said maybe in the first place, is it's going to stay. I mean, I think the idea is to keep that. It's something that everybody seemed to really like when we did our programming meetings, in terms of having this little piece of wooded area on the campus.
We're so excited about it and really thrilled that it is coming up out of the ground and will soon be undercover and doing what it's supposed to do.
Really thankful to the college and for the opportunity to have this happen. Just all the inputs and all of the really a collaborative design effort. So we're up here talking about it, but there were hundreds of people involved in making this happen, and that felt great for the purpose of the project as well.
Yep. Well, everyone, thank you very much for coming to hear us.
And I do want to note, we have little sheets of paper. If you have a vision for what you'd like to see happen in the building as it opens.
excited to see what happens and how it comes out. It's very interesting to watch the work done. I know there's been some controversy in the neighborhood because it's definitely not Georgian architecture, but I think it fits into the purpose of the building. And it will be the historic building 50 years from now. So, because the history is important too, but the future is important for Kay to be involved with the social justice program. So we're excited about seeing the building and seeing what programs and offerings they can have for the community too.
It's kind of the best of both worlds because you've saved the home that was there and you've put in place of it a very practical and very modern kind of gateway to the college from the northwest corner. And so we have never, from the beginning, been too concerned about it being ultra-modern. As a matter of fact, it is refreshing to have something that makes the neighborhood more eclectic, I guess.
It's hard until today to visualize what it's going to look like, but I think it helps to look at their drawings and mock-up is really, I think, gives you a much better view. And listening to them today, it gives you a better sense of what it's going to be like when it's done. The windows aren't going to be as big as what they look. They're inset a little bit, and so I think a lot of the neighbors will be surprised at just how well it does fit into the landscape once they get the new trees planted. So,
yeah, that was always a concern, was the removal of the trees. So I think that with the log exterior, we're excited to see that. That's something very original and new and different. And the original complaint was that we were going to see 3 big TV screens. And from the model, it looks like those are going to be mellowed and recessed. Not right out of the tube. I think it's going to be great.
I'm majoring in physics because I thought I wanted to be an engineer, but sort of around my sophomore year I decided I actually want to be an architect. So this is super exciting and interesting for me, and I've been watching this whole project go on. I studied abroad in Denmark. I was studying architecture there. That was exciting. I hope it really becomes something more than just another department or another organization on campus, because I see it as something much larger than that. And instead of it being a part of campus, campus is a small part of it. It's reaching out to more of the world, the community in the world. I know what I'm really interested in is how the building interacts with other buildings and how it connects to the city, how it's all woven together. And I feel like there's a lot of social justice aspects in that, and as far as how people get around and how people move and interact. And that's where I see it really is. It's not the building itself, it's how it's connected. The idea of the building being a crossroads and the trinity of the community, the world, and the campus coming together. But the one side of the building that comes out cantilevered, I thought that was really interesting. And their answer is also very interesting too, because it has to do with how that side and the other 2 sides all interact with the surroundings in a different way and on different levels. It's not the building, but it's how the building interacts with the community. So it's sort of reaching out to the different parts on their own level. So on the side of the neighborhood, it's lower and on the same scale as the houses, whereas looking at campus, it's higher and it's more on the same standing as this building here, with its tall glass facade. And then the other one, it's got the stairs that come down and interweave with the grass and the plants and the trees. I don't really have any newish buildings on campus. They're all kind of the same red brick, the same style. And there's something very nice about that, but it's also very nice to have something different. And this definitely is. Initially it appealed to me because I'm a physics major, I'm good at math, but I also I can't live without art and design, so I saw it as the coming together of that. And the more I got into it, the more it's so much, it is that, but it's so much more because you're designing the human habitat, and it has so much to do with how we live and how we interact with each other and how our communities are formed and defined. It has to do with the built environment that we live in, and it's not things we think about. It's not all I mean, there are great buildings in the world. There's like really flashy opera houses and museums and stuff, and you think about those when you think about great architecture, but to me it's what we interact with every day. And it's how that affects how we live. And we affect it. It's a whole cycle that I find absolutely fascinating.
I've been involved with the Arcus Center for a long time, since the April of 2009. I was coordinator of the planning committee, and then I was asked to stay on as its first interim director. And after we hired Jamie Grant, I was then asked to stay on as the faculty liaison for the building. So today is really exciting. It's wonderful to see it coming together. It's wonderful to be in construction. It's wonderful to, actually be officially having the groundbreaking. And it's kind of surreal in many ways because there's been so much planning that's gone into this. But it's just exciting to see it coming together. As long as I've been here, and I started at Kalamazoo College in 1993, the building on that corner of campus was never really part of campus. And one of the things that I did was go back and work with our archivist and look at the letters that President Hoban had left. And it was always his vision to make that corner of campus a full part of the campus, to have the Grove be a place where faculty could take classes for, sort of conversations and outdoor classes. And we read through those. We read through these with the architects. And I think that this will be one of the really great things, is we'll have a building that's big enough, not too ostentatious, but a building that sort of sets a vision for what the center, for the Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership can be. And a building that's really fully part of campus. There have been some, the Stryker Center was set up with huge walls, and walking up there was difficult. And I think the new vision of sort of making this accessible, having a community entrance, having a campus entrance, having it be a place where you want to walk to. And we've had lots of conversations about how to bring that corner of campus into the rest of campus. And I think with this building, we're really going to see the fulfillment of President Hoban's vision. There are a lot of different spaces in the building. I mean, the building itself can be turned, it's actually a wonderful design. The building itself can be turned into nothing, just a huge auditorium for, one speaker. And the acoustics, will be good enough that you can actually hear a speaker wherever you need to in the building. But then there are lots of small breakout spaces. So it's a place where students can hang out. There'll be a couple of classrooms there. There's a workroom, so student groups can go up and use the workroom. There's actually a kitchen area. There'll be a stove or refrigerator, sort of breakfast bar kind of place. So classes and community groups can, actually cook meals together. The hearth is another space. And so even though it's, it's all sort of open concept design, there are lots of nooks and crannies in it, and a lot of groups that can use it for different things. And just like I'm talking about community groups, student groups, faculty, classes, visiting fellows for the Arcus Center, all of these things, everybody gets a piece of it, which is the exciting thing. I think, it's been really fascinating working with Studio Gang and the architects on this, and also working with John Stryker. Being an architect himself, he had none of us knew what kind of building we wanted, but he knew that he wanted a building that would reflect the best of campus, but also, sort of be set apart in some ways. And we've seen the building evolve, I think, but we've also seen it become much more refined. We've gone through a lot of stages through the different, from the initial design, a lot of collaborations, a lot of focus groups and conversations with people. And so I think the building is really, it has just continued to evolve, and I think refined is probably the best way to put it. I don't think there's anything there now that wasn't there from sort of the initial design concept, but it's just, the details have fallen into place, and, the rigor and the eye for detail that Studio Gang brings to this project is just really just absolutely astonishing. And so I think the building has become more distilled. I think distilled is perhaps the best way to put it.
I've been working on the project, kind of off and on since the beginning, since the early design, but I'm really focused on the construction aspects of the project. One of the goals of the project is to more emulate, have the workforce more emulate the societal makeup of the Kalamazoo County area. So part of the bid documents for our contractors was to include a diverse workforce plan. So each one of the subcontractors with their bids provided that. And we're tracking on a daily basis the workforce on the job, the direct support workforce, so project managers that are back in the office supporting the guys out in the field. And then we're also tracking the indirect support services. So companies that have accounting and administrative staff, we're tracking the diverse makeup of those forces as well. So we're kind of from beginning to end tracking the diversity of the workforce that's supporting this project, as well as any WBE or MBE contractors that are on the job. And in fact, we've had that conversation with Paul Manstrom here at Kalamazoo College. This is kind of a prototype for future projects that you guys will have, but also we are really, as a company, very focused on the diversity of our workforce. You know, and as a construction company, we're about 40% women and minorities, which is not the norm. So that's a focus of ours corporately. The geometry of the building, understanding the geometry and making sure that we're getting the geometry right out in the field. Really our early focus has been on footings and foundations and making sure that really the base of the building is meeting the geometry that the architects have given us to build. And then going up with the structural steel in each different component of the projects, working very closely with the architect and with K College representatives to make sure every piece is exactly what was intended and going to function as intended. This is a small jewel. You know, I've done a lot of big projects, I've done a lot of small projects. This is not my first project for being a project manager on K's campus, so I'm familiar with the needs of the campus community, but this is really exciting to be able to say, you know, I've been involved with a project like this. It's like I said, a little jewel.
As an alum, as I was listening to the presentation, I realized that all of the aspirations of students really become realized in that building, meaning that when you come to Kalamazoo College, and this was true for me too, is that you come wanting to change the world, and these aspirations get spread out throughout the campus, but now there's a place to manifest these desires. So it did make me weepy thinking about it. It's very exciting. In the community, we're always looking for the appropriate spaces to do our work, and so I work at the Community Foundation, and the reason I'm here at this presentation is because I was really interested in what comprises a socially just space. And the extent to which these architects and Jamie Grant went to construct something that is socially just is just overwhelming. And so the idea that now we as community partners trying to do social justice work have a space that's designed specifically for that is it's just another reason why Kalamazoo stands out. It's another reason why Kalamazoo College is a unique place, but it makes sense to me that this would be in Kalamazoo because more than any other community, I think that we are capable of achieving social justice and creating the next generation of social justice leaders.
The studio gang designers today were talking about this starting in, I think, July of 2010. This project actually started in, I believe, September of 2009 as a renovation of the existing Hoban House. And in July of 2010, we moved on from there and started designing what's now going to be the Arcus Center building. It's different than any building we've ever put up at Kalamazoo College, not only in the way it looks, but in the very complicated geometry of the building. We're 3 months into the building project, and it's been a challenge every step of the way because it's kind of some new technologies and new techniques for the builder, and the architect who designed it is finding out a few things in the process too. So it's been exciting. It's been a very rewarding team experience at this point in time too. I think it brings a unique building in the way it's going to be used. I was just talking to Carol Anderson, and we had an event over the weekend where a student brought in I hope I say this right, a charcuterie, who is a sausage maker, who's a parent of a student. And they used the catering kitchen for a presentation at Sodexo. There were 40 students there. This is a student-initiated, student-organized event. It would have been perfect in this building with the kitchen, a perfect environment for people to be learning about something and gathering around a nice open space. So I think it's going to be a very nice building to bring people in to present at, and have functions that work well in wide open spaces. The college grounds crew picked up the old paver walk that ran behind the building and recycled that or stored that for future use. The FACMAN or facilities management people were heavily involved in the move of the Hoban House. You know, we did a lot of the demolition on the addition that came down, and helped, and also a lot of students worked in there stripping carpet out of the and wood and things like that out of the old house. We ended up taking down more than we really had hoped to be taking down in the first place, but the site is so tight, and as we look at the building now, the trees that we did take down would have never survived the construction process. We did about 70% of the trees we took down we had milled and killed and dried. They are now being stored on campus and will be used to make furniture for the building. It's a very sustainable building, and I could go on for about half an hour on all the points, but from an energy standpoint, it'll be the most energy efficient building on campus. The wall construction with the cedar is going to be have an insulating value of R30, which is far beyond anything else we have on campus. It's our second geothermal heating and cooling system. That adds to the efficiency. It has what's called an air force system, which combines the best features and efficient features of radiant heating and forced air heating. I believe it will be, at least the estimates are, it will be 50% more energy efficient than what's required by the current Michigan Energy Code, which is a very stringent code. Question. I do love to do projects, and it's been probably my favorite thing to do in this position in my 22 years at Kalamazoo College. What happens with projects at a campus like this is that every project you do, every building you do is a little bit different. So you get very good and learn a lot and become fairly expert at a certain type of building, and then you never build it again, or you never renovate it again. And that's going to happen with the Arcus Center. But this is a particularly challenging building because it's like unlike anything we've ever done before, and there's all sorts of new technologies and new methods of construction that we've not run across before, and I've really enjoyed being part of that.
I've definitely seen the Arcus Center kind of grow from its very infancy when it was kind of just a thought process in people's minds, from the huge grant we got a couple years ago to the house that they're currently in now, and kind of finally the building of the big center. I think it's a very good thing for campus. We'll be a leader in the whole world in terms of social justice. I think you can see that in the social justice competition. They're drawing in entries from across the world, which I think will be an incredible opportunity to kind of spread K's name while also making a huge impact in the world. I think also having the finalists come to K College campus and really give a presentation to the campus community about what their program is all about, socially justice-wise, will be a real benefit to the community. So I think that's really cool. They're going to bring in speakers, which I think will be another really great benefit because campus has been growing in terms of their involvement and desire to see social justice a part of the campus. So I think their whole method of encouraging social justice within the community and the students will be a very good thing for campus. Coming to college, I wasn't a big part of my mindset, but being challenged in my coursework to kind of consider the social justice aspects of the world or my experiences, it definitely played a huge part in my career. I definitely think having this social background will be a good way to build my career on or include when I become older. I played soccer here for 4 years, and then accordingly, I studied abroad for 3 months in Madrid, Spain, my sophomore spring. And this past summer, I worked with a professional soccer team, interning with them, the San Antonio Scorpions, and I did merchandising and marketing. And my SIP was on organization analysis of the San Antonio Scorpions during their inaugural season this past year. Hopefully, I'm looking to work in sports business, preferably soccer, and some kind of marketing or merchandising opportunity. I've been looking at a lot of internships. I'm currently applying for a job actually right now with Nike to be a community social media representative for their soccer branch. So hopefully hopefully I can get that, but we'll see.
Welcome, everyone. You'll see that there's only one empty seat, and that's for our trustee, John Stryker, who is en route. As you know, the weather has been playing tricks on all of us. We had expected to be outside. We had expected it to be sunny. We had assumed there would be daffodils. Nature decided something else, and in the process also messed up some of the airlines. And so John and his partner, Slow, are on their way, but we're going to begin because so many of you have come, and we are really delighted to have you with us today. And nothing was going to deter us today, neither the wind, the rain, the slow planes, whatever else nature sent our way. We were determined that we would gather today in ceremonial and symbolic fashion to break ground on the Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership building. This building has been a long time in coming, and we're so pleased that the prospect of this building has brought even our elected officials to Kalamazoo College. So welcome. We're very pleased. We're very pleased to welcome Dave Buskirk from the Kalamazoo County Commission. He is the co-chair of the commission. Dave is a strong supporter of Kalamazoo College. Welcome. We're glad to have you with us. We're always delighted to welcome our mayor, Bobby Hopewell. He tweets on our behalf. And he has lots of followers, so I'm pleased that he tweets on our behalf, and he's always here to support us. Mayor Hopewell, you're welcome. Also pleased to welcome State Representative Sean McCann, who is often a visitor here at King. Sean, we appreciate so much your advocacy for us in Lansing, and we're very, very happy to have you here today on what will be a new chapter in the history of the college. I'm also delighted to welcome former State Representative Lawrence Wenke. We're so pleased to have you with us. And we are very pleased to have with us our trustees. Since we're talking about elected officials, I will start by acknowledging Kalamazoo College's own Judge Sandy Lipsey, a member of our Board of Trustees. We're so pleased to have you here. Mr. Cy Johnson, a member of Kalamazoo College's Board of Trustees and the person who tries to keep me in line. Reverend Mary Beth Sarhat, a member of our Board of Trustees. Oh, here she is, right here. She's hiding in the corner here. Trustee Emeritus, Mary McLean. We're so happy to have you with us. Here she is over here. And of course, the chair of our board, Don Parfit. We are so pleased to have you with us. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the president's ambassadors who have been working to help this be such a special event. I'd like to also thank everyone. There are so many people who have worked so hard to make this event happen in spite of the weather. And you know who you are, so thank you very, very, very much. The Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership is an incredible initiative at Kalamazoo College. And as we begin this initiative, we want to acknowledge our forebearers And so it is my deep honor to introduce Mrs. Phyllis Davis, a member of the Tribal Council of the Machi-Be-Nash-She-Wish Band of Potawatomi Indians, who will come for us and bless this event in the tradition of our Native people. Ms. Davis.
First off, I gotta adjust this because I'm short. And I would like to say, on behalf of the Machi-Be-Nash-She-Wish Band of Potawatomi Indians and my tribal chairman, D.K. Sprague, and the elected officials and the tribal citizens of the Machi-Be-Nash-She-Wish Band of Potawatomi Indians, also known as the Gun Lake Tribe, we say miigwech for this honor to come here to spend this time to acknowledge the growth and the expansion of Kalamazoo College. We hope that we are invited back again to engage in talks, discussions, partnerships, encouraging our youth and in learning about social justice for all people and equality and equity within the races. You know, our 4 races of man have always been here, and those colors are, the 4 colors of man are who we acknowledge and honor. And so for me to be able to come here on behalf of my tribe, I'm greatly honored. So thank you very much. But first I need to acknowledge and address you in my original language. Uju, Asiokwe, Dishnakas, Potawatomi, Dao, Machi-Be-Nash-She-Wish Band, Potawatomi. My clan in Dodom is Jijak, which is Crane, and Dojibia is the place where I live, which is Grand Valley. I addressed to you in my original name. One of our teachings is when you're a young child, or even as an adult, I received my Indian name when I was probably 21. And it, you know, was a lot of soul searching for me to do. But one of our teachings, when you cross that river at the end of your life cycle, the Creator only knows you by your original name, and so you have a spirit name that you're given. And so I asked somebody who was a dear elder of ours who's walked on, to provide that to me, and so he gave me that name whenever I'm anywhere addressing people, praying to the Creator. I have to acknowledge my spirit name. So that was a gift to you. But I'd like to say that I believe that, you know, the Creator does wonderful things for all of us, and we truly need to acknowledge the blessings that the Creator has given us. He's given us this Mother Earth to live on, the water that sustains all of us, the life force that it brings, birth, death, illness, sickness, you know, it's all connected, but also what sustains our living beings. We honor our 4-legged brothers. We honor our winged brothers. They have sustained us as Anishinaabe people for thousands and thousands of years, and they sacrificed their life to us and to you, you know, as your ancestors lived in this area that was before Myers and Sam's Club and all of that. We subsisted on hunting and gathering. So as Anishinaabe, we always acknowledge those spirits, those brothers that walked with us and provided themselves. They offered themselves up to us to continue to grow and to live. So I'd like to acknowledge them. I'd also like to say that I pray for all of you, as I know my chairman and my council do, that the good work that you're doing here will bring years and years of good things coming back to you. And I just want to say one thing. It was from Chief Seattle, and this was a quote from him, and he was Duwamish from Washington State. He had good words to say many times, and I think this kind of helps put things into perspective. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the Son of Man. Man did not weave the web of life. he is merely a strand in it. What man does to the web, he does to himself. So in a way, you can say that, what you put out, you get back. And I believe that what, Kalamazoo College is doing is they're putting out good, and you're going to get it back tenfold. You're going to have people coming here from all over the state, the country, to experience their school life here, and they're going to walk away with, so many things to provide and to teach to everyone that they meet, and you can, acknowledge that and say that that's one of the successes for your school, is that you've taught these young people how to reach out to diverse groups. So I'd like to say, miigwech again. I want to come back and see the building when it's up. Miigwech.
Thank you so much. We are honored by your presence. Today, welcome. This is a special day at Kalamazoo College. This is actually Founders Day. And so earlier today, the Kalamazoo College community convened in Stetson Chapel to honor the vision of our founders and to celebrate the multiple ways in which our faculty, our staff, and our students, through their actions, make Kalamazoo College a vibrant and diverse and inclusive fellowship in learning. In Ghana, there is a particularly unique species of bird called the Sankofa. It is believed that the Sankofa bird is the only avian that can fly forward while looking backward. This afternoon, in the spirit of Sankofa, we take flight into a future with our spirits grounded in the sense of progressivism and innovation that has enlivened our past and the commitment to community that informs our present. Through this symbolic breaking of the ground for the construction of the Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership building, Kalamazoo College, true to its history, innovates again, this time in the domain of material culture. For we are constructing the first building in our nation whose expressed purpose at the point of design and construction is the promotion of a more just world, a world that is characterized by fundamental fairness for all. This is truly a great day in the life of our college. I know that our founders, Thomas Merrill and Caleb Eldred, are smiling. For in 1833, they could not have foreseen a day such as this. I know that Lucinda and James Stone are smiling. For the construction of this building and the work that will emerge within this space is a tribute to the legacy of progressivism they bequeathed to Kalamazoo College. And I know that Alan Hoban is smiling, for he is beginning to imagine the role the Arcus Center will play in equipping Kalamazoo College students with the knowledge and the skills required to make the world somewhat better. And yes, I'm smiling too. And I am so thankful to you, John Stryker, for your vision and for your generosity. Like Richard Light before you, who played a central role in the development of the K Plan, you have pushed us to a new set of possibilities. John, your support for the Center has meant so very much to us, and for this wonderful building for which you have laid the ground, Kalamazoo College will continue to be innovative and will reach a new level of distinction. We are most grateful and are in your debt. To Jeannie Gang and our studio gang colleagues who embrace this project with passion, with imagination, and with great skill, we say thank you. To the Kalamazoo College Board of Trustees, particularly our board chair, Don Parfit, who has been a champion of this initiative since its germinal stages, to all of you, we say thank you. To Carol Anderson, where are you? Right here. To Carol Anderson, to Paul Manstrom, to Jamie Grant, who with laser clarity have focused in on the design and the programmatic issues with patience. Did I say patience? Did I say patience? We thank you. This is a great day in the life of Kalamazoo College, and I am so pleased to welcome all of you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Brock, and I am the Academic Director of the Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership. We have a collaborative leadership structure. Myself and Dr. Jamie Grant is the Executive Director. I'm going to say a few words. It's truly a pleasure to say these few words at this historic groundbreaking. Thank you, Phyllis, for helping us honor the original caretakers of this land. And thank you, President Wilson Oyeleren, for envisioning such a dreamscape on this landscape, which will forever be a site of social justice thinking, practice, and leadership. And a special appreciation is due to Mr. John Stryker, a K alum, a K trustee, and son of the city of Kalamazoo, who continues to teach us through his actions what it means to give, to share, and to literally build towards a more just future. Dr. Jamie Grant and I and our staff have huge plans for this building. This place will be a place where innovative, collaborative, transformative, and awe-inspiring social justice leadership models and ideas are hatched, and we are ready for it. The K College community and visiting social justice leaders will have an incubator, a sacred space where only good things happen, where trainings, collaborations, art, and formative thinking will abound. Thank you to the Potawatomi and to K College for entrusting this piece of land to the directorship of Dr. Grant and I. We will make you proud. Ashe.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is a great day where we get to celebrate the establishment of the Arcus Center. I want to start with a quote from a fellow posse member, Jonathan Romero, that to me exemplifies the importance of the center. In Be Light, he stated, "The Arcus Center plays a vital role in making social justice a reality. Without mentorship and funding, we social justice advocates are merely theorizing about an idea and doing nothing about injustices in the world. Without the Arcus Center, it would rather be hard and difficult for me to become an effective social justice leader. It was Arcus that brought to my attention the importance of knowing myself before presenting myself to others. I have also learned the importance of narrative and my story, so I'll quickly share some snapshots. My parents left Nicaragua at the height of the Nicaraguan Civil War to spare themselves and their family the violence. However, I grew up in East Los Angeles, which at the time was known for its gang violence, and I grew up in the epicenter of it all. And I was educated in a school system that was accustomed to making sure that kids just made it to the next level. At the time, my high school was performing at the bottom 5% of California, and from those who graduated, only 16% were qualified to go to any university. My 4 years at K have been packed with growth, intense training, and a lot of learning. I have been emblazoned with a new sense of purpose to secure me and my family's future. Furthermore, my newfound purpose expressed itself through politics and the social justice movement. See, I consider education and justice as being imbricated. I hope to be a professor that would change the way my students view the world. This is justice. The kind of justice that I envision for higher education includes higher levels of access, but it also includes the kind of educational community that K fosters. Indeed, the kind of education that I have received is a kind of justice. Higher levels of engagement, true mentorship, and partnership in learning, all embodied and practiced by the Arcus Center and K. This is perhaps the more radically just future that I can help create. By shaping education, we change our students, who change the world that shapes new students, and so on. But more fundamentally, the justice that we all seek, indeed, can be found in education and Arcus, because they both offer us what justice seeks to maintain and recover: community. What I see in my story, and what I hope you all see as well, is a glimpse into the kind of work that needs to be done and the kind of future we can all hope for. Without the Arcus Center, as Jonathan Romero pointed out, it would be rather difficult for a lot of us to carry out our collective visions. I know I speak for many students when I say, thank you, John Stryker. Your gift has meant a lot for this community, many other communities, and our world's future. Thank you.
Well, Darwin, you're a tough act to follow, but I'll give it a shot. Hello, I'm Jerry Vincent. I work for Facilities Management, and I was involved in the initial planning committee for the Arcus Center. I and many others participated in architectural decisions and created the structure and requirements of the fellowship programs, which was a very well-considered and detailed collaboration. In the weeks and months of planning, meetings, and guest speakers, I came to understand the impact such a center would have on our lives and the world at large. And as far as we can see and know, we only have each other in all this universe. That is why the Arcus Center is so important now and in the future. It will enable, engage, and educate us to value and celebrate ourselves and all others. I'm grateful to Dr. Oyelary for giving me the opportunity to be involved in this endeavor, and I especially want to thank John for entrusting us with his vision and resources to make this a reality. Thank you.
Hi, this has been a quick procession here of speakers. So my name is Les Tung. I suppose I'm here as a representative of the faculty, and I'm very pleased and proud to represent my colleagues, especially on this auspicious occasion, a celebration of really the physical embodiment of one of the most meaningful projects I have ever been associated with in my over 25 years at the college. And I was on the very initial planning stages of the center, of course, under the flawless leadership of Carol Anderson. I remember that from the very first meeting, there was a very special energy in the room, very similar to the energy that we feel today. And for those of you who have been to any faculty meetings at all, you will know that this is atypical. This is usually faculty meetings are not brimming with anticipation and a groundswell of hope. But that's really what John. That's just what John Stryker's gift really gave us. Not only the center itself, but to us in the planning stages, a challenge. And I think that's when we talk about giving, something that I try to remind my students, the greatest gift that we can give is to someone is a challenge. And we were given that challenge. But it was exciting because the challenge called upon us to really start planning from the very top. We had to start by articulating, really drawing strength from our highest ideals and our convictions for community and society and for the future. And from there, it very rapidly became an opportunity to discover I have no other way of describing it as a kind of a three-way symbiosis between, of course, those ideals, which we start with, our academic lives, and action in the world. And I think it will continue to be so. The building is erected in an academic setting, and in a very special academic setting, one which recognizes that sharing these, first of all, these ideals and convictions is not only appropriate in such settings, it's to be encouraged and it's to be welcomed. And we wear our convictions proudly on our sleeves, actually in the very name of the center that we celebrate. At the center of the center is also part of an academic community. Another part of that symbiosis. Academia, of course, can not only give us the tools to rigorously understand problems, situations, cultures, backgrounds, but also it has the ability, and I believe, of course, the responsibility, to actively nurture the creativity needed to see solutions. And finally, of course, our ideals and our academic life, as Darwin and others have so eloquently stated, are educated by and informed by lived action. And so the structure itself, as I glanced at the model in the library this afternoon, reminded me that what a special welcoming design it is, and in what a special way it transforms the old traditional notion of higher learning, of an academy as a bastion of privilege, complete with regal entryways and all sorts of metaphorical barricades to entry. This is an open structure. It opens itself as a physical space, as a stimulus for bridge building and human connection. So I toast and thank John and all those in the room who have played such a greater role than myself in seeing that this three-way symbiosis, that ideals, academic analysis and creativity and action will work in an unending symbiosis, sort of turbocharging each other to create an upward spiral, everlasting, of social justice. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Margaret Kavanaugh, and I'm a managing architect at Studio Gang Architects, and I'm thrilled to be here today with most of the design team to celebrate this momentous occasion. Jeannie Gang and Mark Schendel are with us in spirit and send their regards to everyone. Today is a celebration for our entire studio. We're really in a unique position and opportunity here to have both the groundbreaking and construction happening at the same time. This is the exciting part. You know, I was on the site earlier today. I still have sand, so forgive me if I've trailed it around. In thinking about what I was going to say today, I was reminded of the research and the reading and the conversations and the meetings and all of the effort that went into the design behind this structure. And I think Les really, hit it on the nail in some of his thoughts, thinking about how open this building really needed to be and what it needs to do for not just Kalamazoo College and for the Arcus Foundation, but for social justice and for the world. So in 2010, Studio Gang was engaged to design this new building that'll be a study center and a meeting place where students, faculty, visiting scholars, social justice leaders, and members of the public can come together to engage in conversation and activities aimed at engendering a more just world. And this is our Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership. It's a lengthy but appropriate name for this building with such a mission. It's an important building, as I said, not just for Kalamazoo College, but for the Arcus Foundation And for John, city, and for the world, it will be at roughly 10,000 square feet, the first purpose-built structure devoted to developing emerging leaders and sustaining existing leaders in the fields of human rights and social justice. And we were asked to think a little bit about how the design of the building does that. It supports the mission in multiple ways. First, its form is designed to respond sensitively to its varied context, both the residential context of Monroe and Academy, the campus buildings, its native woodland grove. Its arched walls sort of serve as an embrace of both the mission of the building and the site itself. Its transparent end walls invite views into and out of the building, again, making it a very transparent and open space. Its one-story structure fits in well with the residential scale and is a good neighbor to the community. While challenging the colonial brick language of most of the campus's existing architecture, the building design honors the craft of masons who constructed the college's earlier structures. You know, amusingly, when we started design, the first year of calls we got were from brick suppliers who wanted to know which brick we wanted to use for our project. So we are using masonry, but in lieu of using brick, our triaxial plan uses wood masonry, which is, and here we've used a variant of the traditional construction method that you see throughout Michigan's upper regions by combining today's energy-efficient technologies, a steel frame, and with cordwood, cedar in this case, harvested from the region. It came from less than 200 miles away. It's a figurative extension of the trees as well in the adjacent landscape in the grove behind the building. And for us also, each log is individual. Just like the individuals the building will serve and support. Inside, the building's visually open and daylit interior is designed to support convening in many different configurations that begin to break down psychological and cultural barriers between people and facilitate understanding. You know, we could have a tete-a-tete, a small seminar group, a large lecture, all can take place in this building. The hearth and kitchen are intentionally at the crossroads where custom, culture, and community can meet. And I look forward to the day when we will be sharing bread together here instead of just talking about it. Gaining a deeper knowledge of social justice, allowed us to find ways to integrate equitable practices into architecture. One of the early examples we were most drawn to in our research were the Toguna spaces in Mali, where a low roof determines that no one may stand in anger, and no walls on the buildings that set above the principal buildings of the village allow the entire community to see what the village elders are talking about. We desired this type of building, one that's completely accessible and transparent. Everyone who enters here is welcome and equal. And this building aspires to create a new precedent for equality that can be applied on an international scale. And it's this multi-layered approach that offers the possibility to foster positive social transformation at every scale. I'd like to thank every person here today who's dedicated themselves to this project. We've met with students, we met with everybody from the facilities group, we've walked the site, we've walked upwards, forwards, backwards, downwards. We met with Jamie, we asked Jamie what books she would want to read, we asked Carol what books they would propose we read. We weren't talking about architecture books, we were talking about books of social justice. We've talked with John, we've met with Eileen, everybody, and it's been a very formative part of my career for me, and I'm very excited to be at the podium today to talk about this project and to thank everybody for allowing us to be engaged in such a project with vision. We wouldn't be here without the support of John, Eileen, the rest of the community, and congratulations. So let's go dig.
Okay, I'm Don Parvit. I'm the board chair of trustees. And John, maybe just stand up here for a second. On behalf of your fellow trustees, we really want to thank you for this dynamic, visionary gift that you have made to the college. And I want to tell a little story, okay? Some of you probably have heard this, but John shared this with the trustees early on. He had a transformative experience as a student at Kalamazoo College, going on foreign study. And that led him on a journey that I'm going to interpret as a journey of social justice. And I will say that that transformative experience also saw that you were going to enable the college to further in its foreign study capabilities. You've been very generous at that. But through this journey of social justice, John Stryker has become a social justice leader. And John Stryker could put this center anywhere in the world. He chose to put it here at Kalamazoo College. And as John Stryker said, once you meet Eileen Wilson Oyalaran, you know you have to put the Center for Social Justice Leadership around her. So we thank Eileen for her leadership, and John, we especially thank you for your great generosity. Now we've arranged for some dirt to be brought down here to Trowbridge, for a shovel to be put up there, for all the speakers and a few other guests to join in on the turning of the dirt. I know, Carol, you're going to join us. Jamie, you're going to join us. And Paul, you're going to join us in turning some dirt, putting on a hard hat, and celebrating the building of an incredible center. So thank you very much. We're going to go up and do that, unless you want to say, yeah, of course you can.
I just want to say I'm incredibly proud of the college. Today is really an amazing milestone, and so many people have participated in this project. When I came to Eileen with this idea a long time ago, just a kernel of the idea, and we were so excited about the idea, we wanted to tell everyone about it, but instead we kind of took a few steps back and brought all kinds of amazing, really smart people to plan this thing, and I think that's why it's so powerful. It's really owned by all of you, and I think it's going to be a really remarkable thing. So I'm just really proud of this whole thing, and thank you very much.
Friends, let us conclude this gathering with a blessing. Holy and special is the purpose for which we have been gathered here today. Before the words Arcus Center for Social Justice Leadership were first spoken here, the dream rested in the hearts of those who were moved to act. Phone calls were made, committees convened, and donors of time and energy and resources were moved to acts of great generosity. May those whose dreams have been brought today to fruition be blessed. The real work of the center is already being done. Friends and strangers brought together to teach and learn from one another. May all those whose energy is directed toward the ancient and sacred work of pursuing justice, mercy, and humility be blessed. We do not yet know whose feet will tread here. We ask a blessing on all of those to come. May this place be a haven, a birthplace, a respite, and a nexus of creative energy, so that justice may roll down like water and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Amen.